So we put together our press conference here to give you a little bit more information about what happened. Spelling of my name, G-A-R-Y-C-U-T-L-E-R. Last night, we unfortunately had 4 first responders that were hit by a suspected drunk driver while they were working on a crash on I-76 about milepost 13. We got the call in at about 9:10 last night when we were requested to help Commerce City with a crash that they were investigating. The situation was, this was on the westbound of I-76. There was a previous crash that was going on where both South Adams County Fire Department and the Commerce City Police Department were working on this crash, investigating it. They had a fire apparatus that was blocking the number 1 and 2 lanes, and they were routing traffic around onto the right shoulder. While they were doing the investigation, we had an individual in a Toyota Tacoma that ended up going around the barricades, went over on the left side around the fire truck, and ended up striking 4 of the personnel that were out on the roadway. We had 2 Commerce City Police Department officers that were injured and 2 fire department personnel that were injured. All were outside of their vehicles at the time. We're going to go ahead and have other people explain who they are and how they're doing on this. The way the State Patrol is taking this now is this is a suspected DUI, and so the driver has been taken into custody and booked into jail, and we're doing further investigation on the DUI. I can tell you that the driver is a male out of Brighton, 24 years old. And so we are finishing up our investigation. This did shut down the road last night from the time of the crash to about 1:30 in the morning. We are still doing our investigation even though we've closed up everything, and as we get more information, we will go ahead and pass that along as well. One of the issues that we've really had, and it is becoming more and more, it's getting beyond even believable of how many DUI crashes we're having that are not only hurting our public, but now we have our emergency personnel that can't even do their job without getting hit by somebody that's decided to drive drunk. Last year, Adams County, the State Patrol covered 251 impaired crashes. That's just our agency alone in this county. And it's been ridiculous. So we are getting to a point where we absolutely need the public's help. We need people to actually start taking responsibility on this. When we can't get our own people out there to help others that are in need of assistance when they have crashes or something else that's going on the road, and we have to worry about being hit and injured and possibly killed, this just cannot continue the way it's been going. So as an agency, and speaking on behalf of all of these other agencies as well, people need to actually listen. We've talked, and we've talked, and nobody's listening here. We still get these DUIs that are coming out. It comes down to laziness and being self-absorbed. Okay, there's no reason that anybody needs to be drinking and driving. There are way too many ways out there that you can get a ride share, a friend, stay somewhere. But if you're going to drink, you absolutely cannot be getting out into the wheel or behind a wheel and actually going out there and hurting people. These people have families, they have coworkers. This doesn't just affect one person. It's an entire community when this happens. And so we need to put a stop to it. And we keep talking about it, we keep saying it, but it needs to stop now. And if you know somebody that is doing this kind of stuff, have those conversations with them, because we are doing everything we possibly can. And we are blocking the roads. We have got giant vehicles. We've got people directing traffic. We have cones. And this is still not enough that we cannot keep people out of these zones where they're hurting our personnel. So this is what we need to have happen. But going back to how this crash happened, what the situation led up to is this vehicle was westbound on 76, went around the fire apparatus and where the other traffic was going, and ended up going and hitting 4 personnel that were over by one of the patrol cars. So they were, we had one that is in serious condition, the others have minor injuries. So we've been very fortunate on this, that this didn't go much worse, and we can't keep lucking out like this. So what we're going to be doing is we went ahead and finished up all of our investigation on scene last night, and we have gone ahead and are putting that in and taking a look at everything and filing all of our charges with the driver. What I'm going to have happen here now is we're going to have both representatives from the South Adams County Fire Department and the Commerce Police Department that are going to tell you about their personnel, how they're doing, and talk a little bit about what they were doing on there. I believe what we're going to do is have Ken Kroger with the Fire Department. He's the chief. He'll be talking to you about his personnel here.
Thank you, sir.
Can you say your name and spell it as well?
Yes, Ken Kroger, K-O-G-E-R, Fire Chief of South Adams County Fire. South Adams County Fire crew, along with Commerce City PD, were responding to a vehicle crash that happened approximately 8:34 p.m. I-76. When another vehicle drove into the scene approximately 9:10, striking our first responders. Our 2 injured firefighters were transported to the hospital. 1 was treated, reevaluated, and released, and 1 will undergo surgery today. As we speak here today, he's in surgery. And we'll update you on the condition of our firefighters as they come available. I want to thank the Colorado State Patrol, Commerce City Police Department, our neighboring agencies from Brighton, Thornton, Adams County, North Metro. We've heard from all of them through the night. Our firefighters, 1 is a 7-year veteran, 1 is a 4-year veteran. And I, just to kind of piggyback on Master Sergeant here, this has got to stop. These guys are trained. They park their vehicles to protect them, and it's still not enough. Being a firefighter today, walking in burning buildings that is not the dangers of the job anymore. It's being on the highways. And this has got to stop. I don't know what we have to do, but it's going to change. Thank you.
I'm Joanna Small with the Commerce City Police Department, Joannasmall. I'm the Public Information Officer here. And I apologize ahead of time for the redundancy, but of course I echo these gentlemen's sentiments. But I want to speak specifically about our officers. I think the cruel irony in this entire thing was they were investigating another DUI collision when this DUI collision occurred. That was a single vehicle DUI collision that didn't result in any injuries, but they were doing a thorough investigation. They were doing their jobs. We have 2 officers who were injured. 1 is actually a more moderate injury. The other is considered minor. 1 of our officers is still hospitalized this morning. Both are expected to be okay. We are incredibly grateful. You can imagine how tense those moments were when we found out this happened and they were being transported by ambulance and we didn't know the extent of their injuries. That's a really long several hours as we wait for updates. It impacts everybody, the entire department, the entire community. It's terrifying, actually. Our officer is still hospitalized, is 30 years old. He's been with the department for 2 years. And our officer who sustained minor injuries is 33, and she's been with the department for 5 years. So again, just to reiterate, this was tragic. It's still tragic. Even when people are going to recover, it's still tragic. And we certainly want people to change their driving behavior for the safety of everyone. So I'm going to call up our city manager, Jason Rogers, just to say a couple words in support of the police department.
Jason Rogers, J-A-S-O-N, last name R-O-G-E-R-S, city manager for City of Commerce City. First and foremost, I want to thank all involved in the support of South Adams County Fire District, Commerce City PD. Thank you, CSP, for taking on this in support of this very tragic and unfortunate incident. I want to echo what my colleagues and my counterparts have said. This has to stop. We were lucky this time. It's an unfortunate, it's a tragic incident, but we as a community have to come together. We have to make the wise decisions. We have to be vocal. We have to be present, and we need to be able to make sure that we're thinking about the safety of all of our members of our community at all times. So please help us so that we can be the best that we can be to try to remove these issues going forward. So once again, I want to thank you all for your support, your continued support of those who are a part of this tragic incident, and thank you.
All right, we'll open it up for any questions now. Yeah.
What's the name of the suspect?
So we're not giving that out at this point. We're working with the district attorney's office on that stuff.
DA's office, their spokesperson's on vacation. Under CCJRA, with all due respect, this is an official action.
Yes.
When this man was booked to jail, by law, you have to release the suspect's name, by law.
Okay.
So we need that suspects.
I will work on that before we get out of here, okay? All right.
A
Yes.
follow-up question for the fire chief, please.
Yeah.
As a fire department.
Yes.
What is it like, if you step to the middle of the podium, please, catch the microphone. What are your guys, men and women in your fire department, what are you thinking? What's going through your mind after something like this happens?
It's going to be a little tough for me. I get the call at 8:30 last night. And the first information we had was he was red. Our firefighter, meaning he was very serious. We go to the hospital. We're thinking we got our crews. I'm trying to think of how we get this fireman's wife down to the hospital. They have a 1.5-year-old son that we got to get them taken care of. So we have our other chief staff going to their home. We got officers, our other officers out on the fire scene. Get to the hospital and it's full of our firemen. Sorry. It's taxing. It's brutal. We are a brotherhood. It's you don't know what to think. You don't know how to act. We had the other firefighter that was hit. He was released. He's good. Talking to him today. He's going to be okay. The lieutenant on scene. It was a crew of 3. The lieutenant. They all did their job. They did their job very well. They followed all their training, all their procedures. They did exactly what they're supposed to do. And here this tragedy still happened. I don't know how we stop it. But it is. I've never had to go through this before. I do not want to do it again.
Chief, and a bit of a follow-up, and thank you for that heartfelt response. Will you be able to release the name of that firefighter and/or release a picture? I don't know what the department policies are that we can share with the public. Is that something you would consider?
In due time, yes, just for the privacy of his family and all, we do not want to release that right yet.
Do your fire trucks have any sort of video systems on them that would have captured what happened?
Yes, sir. But because it's still under investigation, we cannot release that.
And thank you, I understand. Were they rolling, were those videotapes likely have captured what happened? I realize you can't release it, but did they capture what happened?
Yeah, they're dash cams, so they're they might have caught some of it. Yes.
You probably remember looking at it. We haven't looked at it. I don't know if we can answer that question right now without having reviewed all the body camera footage or something to actually see it. I mean, do you want to address procedure, how we typically close a roadway? This is Chief Guadnola, and he could talk procedurally speaking about that. That might be the best way to do that.
I'm Darrell Guadnola, DARREL GUADNOLA. I'm the Chief of Police here in Commerce City. And to address your questions, broadly, we do practice what is referred to as TIMS. It's a traffic incident management system, and that system is calculated to ensure the safest possible environment for our first responders when they investigate accidents on any roadway or highway. And typically what happens in that regard is the fire department works closely with us to park cars and their larger apparatuses to block traffic and to signal traffic for some distance that they need to move over to the right or to the left. While the specific configuration last night I can't address, What I can tell you is the fire apparatus and other vehicles were positioned such that traffic was directed to pull over to the right and go around. And this driver, for whatever reason, found a small opening between the left shoulder and the back of the fire apparatus and decided to go around the left instead of the right, at which time he struck the 4 individuals who were working. Yes, ma'am.
And Chief, a follow-up question for you. Would your officers have body worn cameras that would capture some of this, or would your cars have video as well?
Yes.
I realize there's rules and standards for releasing that video. How long might it be before that video could be released, or perhaps we could see some of that?
I'm going to defer to CSP as they're the investigating agency on that. So as long as it's part of an ongoing investigation, that won't be released. I suspect there will come a time that we will be able to do that, but that'll be in conjunction with the direction of State Patrol.
Do we know how fast the Tacoma was going?
I do not.
He came on the left shoulder and he come off the roadway.
I'm not sure.
Could you say, I know you can't be specific about how fast, but was he moving highway speed, or was he moving low speed, high speed, medium speed?
That's very difficult to say. I have seen some of the video, but given the fact that there are no other moving vehicles in some of the frames that I've seen, it's hard to gauge exactly there's no markers to exactly gauge what that speed would be.
And Chief, did that Tacoma pass on the left-hand side as other cars were passing on the right-hand side?
Yes.
He was moving as other traffic was going in the correct direction?
Yes.
Just like a scary thing to try to set myself as a person's head, like how much can a little common sense go in a situation like this? If they see a bunch of flashing lights, they're intoxicated, they think go like a sobriety stop on the middle of the highway or something to try to look at it. Even if your degree is been out, solid, that have a little common sense.
Well, I wouldn't disagree, and I think part of the danger with drinking and driving, particularly we've had a couple of them, and as we get into the season of holiday parties, is that a lot of times people have a few drinks and they feel like they're all right to drive, and the bottom line is they're not. I would suggest that the common sense you refer to is probably not so common, particularly with people who decide to have a few drinks and then endanger everybody on the interstate or the motoring public.
Until we get to a part with our society that this is completely unacceptable, it means that there needs to be change on all aspects of it. Talking to people has, maybe changed a few minds, but we still have people that are going out here, and we're not talking sometimes just a little drunk. We're talking really drunk, the fact that they can't see big major vehicles with, lights and people directing traffic. And so, we, as an agency, just this year, we went ahead and put together a statewide task force. It's basically a DUI task force that goes around the state and just hits DUI pockets. And so we look at the data that we have, and we are sending those guys out there just particularly to look for that. And unfortunately, they're not having trouble finding them. We're getting a lot of DUI arrests when these teams come in. So what they're doing is they're assisting the troopers that we have in those areas at that point. I wish I had that answer, because we'd be doing it exactly right now if we did. I know it's becoming more into the public's eye. Like you said, we had our own trooper that had a problem just back in earlier in the year. These guys were working on a DUI crash. We have another DUI crash that causes them problems. The one that was with us, we were working on a DUI crash and had 2 additional DUIs come in. So we have areas and pockets that have been extremely bad for us. Adams County right now is on the leading edge of that, and it's not due to the inability of law enforcement to do anything about it. We are doing stuff about it, but we have so many people that are doing it that it's taxing our abilities to get everybody. So that's where I say we need the public's, help on that kind of stuff, so that when they know that somebody's doing that, have an intervention, talk to law enforcement about it, do something so that we have that ability to be proactive and not reactive on these. We can only pull so many people off the road, and we are really trying to get that down to where we don't have any of these crashes anymore.
Was this driver alone, the suspected DUI driver alone in the Tacoma?
Yes.
You mentioned some stats earlier about crashes involving, I think you said emergency vehicles. Do you have them for Adams County, or are they available publicly regarding how many times somebody's crashed into a site that was being investigated by emergency vehicles?
So I'm not sure if we have it particularly for that, but we can give you at least the, not right now, but through the State Patrol, we could get the ones that we've been covering, and we've unfortunately been covering a lot of ours as well. The stats I was talking about were basically just impaired crashes that we've had in Adams County.
But with no specific crashes involving when they crash into emergency vehicles?
Correct. We are putting our databases together on it so that we have it, but I just don't know how detailed that is at this point, because I think it's still something a little new over the last couple of years for us.
You don't have that?
Correct.
There was the crash on 270 where one of your troopers had gotten off a bridge.
Mhm. Yeah, and that was the one where they were actually covering a DUI crash, and then we had two separate. So there was one that actually he had to move off the road or off the bridge to keep from getting hit for one DUI, and we had another DUI driver that came in on that same evening and hit one of our patrol cars. So in one small area, we had 3 DUIs.
Are there enhanced penalties for a person who crashes into emergency workers that's suspected of DUI?
We don't have it like a special, it's the same thing as anything, but we just, as an agency, it's hard for us to continue moving on sometimes with that, because we're losing our friends and coworkers, and so it diminishes our ability to be able to continue working with our mindset correctly on that. When you've had somebody that you've worked with that has been killed or injured, and unfortunately most of us up here have had that happen, it really affects your ability when you're on the side of the road or when you're in a crash, trying to make sure that you're not only keeping everybody safe there, but yourself, and just watching constantly. And unfortunately with our job, we're not always able to keep our eyes on the road as much as we want, because we have to help the other people that are there for whatever reason we're there for.
I believe you've talked about this before, but why not just shut down the highway and say, okay, you know what, we just gotta shut down the highway? That's not practical, is it?
So the chief mentioned TIMS, which is a national program that a lot of the agencies across America are going to. There's a lot of training. The State Patrol has had every one of their troopers go through it, and it is set up to make it as safe as possible for us to be able to handle these situations. One of the things when they usually put the fire apparatus or some other type of barrier up there, they like to work on a lane +1, so give ourselves that lane in between where traffic is. And when they decide that they're just going to go ahead and go through, there's not a lot more that we can do on that. From the information I have at this point, we'd already blocked off a lot of this. This individual may have just gone through it anyways because he was going through a barricaded area. So we can only do so much to try and keep everybody out. We have started shutting down highways and interstates more often for that safety, because the loss of life is much more important than somebody being a little late for something. But we still have to look at everything and what's the quickest way, what's the safest way, and what's the best way to handle these crashes or incidents when we get to them.
And you said this person had been charged?
Correct. He was arrested last night and taken to the Adams County Jail. And as far as the question you had there, Jeremy, we're not trying to hide anything, so we were just basically trying to work with them. I went ahead and talked to my sergeant. It's Benjamin Winters is the individual that was the driver of the vehicle. Benjamin Winters. Is it with an S?
I can get it for you. It's 24.
Can you spell the name?
I'll have him do it. I haven't seen it there. Is it just its regular spelling? Just common spelling on it? Yeah. Are there any other questions we can answer for you?
I did want to say one thing real quickly in regards to the body camera footage, and I haven't seen the fire truck stuff, but in regards to the body camera footage, it's pretty horrific. And I think it's something that we would want the public to see at some point when we know it's not going to hinder the investigation that CSP is doing. But you were asking about what kind of message do we want to give to the community. I think that's probably the best preventative there is to see how terrifying that was. And when you watch that footage, it's amazing that some of those people walked away from that accident. So at some point, I'm sure we would like to release that if it's okay with all the people involved, because it's definitely going to be traumatic for them to watch it as well.
And Joanne, you said that's from the fire truck, right?
No, that's from our police officers' body cameras. I haven't viewed the fire footage, but
From your police officer.
who were actually struck. They were rolling on that the whole time, so.
Were those body worn cameras or dash?
Body worn cameras. Okay, that was it. Thank you.
I can speak on behalf of the fire department. So Maria Carbajal, M-A-R-I-A, Carbajal, C-A-R-A-B-A-J-A-L, and I am with South Adams County Fire, and I just wanted to follow up on the dash cam footage. We have spoken to our chief staff about looking at that footage and maybe doing a follow-up, maybe meeting with the media and just talking about the important, like the safety, maybe sharing some of the video, just because it was really horrific, and we just really, but we just kind of have to digest all the information and all the videos, and then we'll be able to share. So we will be reaching out to the media and maybe doing some sort of a follow-up, maybe safety and getting some more firefighters involved. And so we'll be reaching out to you and just look for updates from us. So
And
thank you.
one of the things we sometimes ask for is a snippet of video that doesn't show the crash, that shows the scene being worked.
Mhm.
Still frame, rear front frames. So sometimes different agencies can release that sooner to show.
Yep, we will definitely look at everything and just share what we can, for sure. So thank you very much.
So even though this just happened last night, we're still very early in the investigation aspects as far as state patrol is going. I know some people asked about speeds and stuff like that. Our investigators last night were able to get information that they'll be able to give us a better idea once they are able to compile all that of speeds and a few other things that we don't have at this point. So this is just basically the initial information that we have from what they were able to give us from what they were doing last night before they get into the more detailed aspects of it.
Can you explain the first accident a little bit? I mean, did they come off the road? Were they injured? Why were they responding to that accident?
Who was responding to it?
The first one that they responded.
Okay, Congress is going to have to answer that one.
I mean, brief, I don't have a ton of details about it, but that was a single vehicle accident. That car was totaled. That individual wasn't seriously injured. He was standing up doing roadside evaluations, but that in and of itself closed off a good chunk of 76 because it was a pretty significant accident. So he had left the roadway. It looks like he kind of struck the median based on the body camera footage.
Any other questions that we can answer? All right, thank you for coming out today. Hopefully we answered all your questions here. And if you have any additional questions to give us, you can give us a call at the State Patrol. Thank you.
Thank you.